Good morning. Today we are going to see an essay by I.A. Richards titled Two Uses of Language. I.A. Richards identified two primary uses of language. Number one is scientific use of language and or a referential language. The second one is emotive or poetic language. Scientific use of language which aims for the precise and factual communication. Meanwhile, the emotive or poetic use of language focus on evoking emotions and attitudes. Now, the first one is scientific or referential use of language. This use of language aims for clarity and accuracy in conveying information and facts. Truth and falsity are the primary criteria for evaluating statement made in this context. For examples, scientific writings, research papers, news reporting, and everyday factual communication are example for scientific or a referential use of language. Scientific use of language focus on conveying information, facts, and objective truth. It aims to describe the world accurately and precisely. The scientific use of language is characterized by clarity, precision, and focus on the external world. The second one is emotive or poetic use of language. This use of language, which means the emotive or poetic use of language, focus on the emotional impact and the feelings it evokes in the reader or listener. Truth and logic are less important in this poetic or emotive language. It emphasizes the emotional connections and attitudes created by it. For example, it includes poetry, creative writing, and persuasive language. Richard argues that poetry uses pseudo statements and that cannot be empirically tested but are justified by the effect on their emotions and attitudes. Once again, the emotive use of language focus on expressing emotions, attitudes, and personal feelings. It aims to evoke emotions, create atmosphere, and convey subjective experience, and it is characterized by ambiguity, suggestiveness, and focus on internal world. Now, we could see the distinctions between these two use of language. Words could be either used for the sake of references they point to or for attitudes and emotions which arise. Many arrangements of words evoke attitudes without reference being made. References are recognized as conditions for a stage in the ensuing development of attitude. Attitudes are more important than the references. Outcome is to bring about attitudes which do not require truth or falsity of the references. Differences between the mental processes involved in the scientific use of language and the emotive one are different. Scientific language should avoid ambiguity and have a fixed single meaning. The emotive uses encourages the multiple meanings and various connotations of a word. Scientific use of language uses logic and the ideas are organized so they do not contradict each other. Emotive language does not give importance to logical arrangements but relies on emotional interconnections to bring diverse attitude into one. I.A. Richards, in the Principles of Literary Criticism, expounds a theory of language and distinguishes between two uses of language, referential and scientific, and the emotive. Science makes statements, poetry makes pseudo statements that cannot be empirically tested and proved true or false. A statement is justified, the pseudo statement of poetry is justified in its effect. Poetry communicates feelings and emotions. Poetry truth is different from the scientific truth. Poetry cannot provide a knowledge and intellectual doctrine in poetry. It does not exist. Poetry speaks not to the mind but to the impulses. its speech, literal or figurative, logical or illogical, is faithful to its experience as long as it evokes a similar experience in the reader. Now, the examples. The word fire has a scientific reference to the real world phenomenon. But in poetry, Heart of Fire evokes an emotion of excitement, not a literal burning. Okay, now what is the key idea of this essay is Richard argues that the poetry uses pseudo statements that are not meant to be verified as true or false, but rather to evoke emotions and create an aesthetic experience. Thank you.